How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here for a while and give him a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from 2 nights ago, which was April 7th, 2021. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match one, it was Hangman Page versus Max Caster. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Hangman Page went over with the buckshot lariat. But before the match, after Hangman Page and the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, came out, well, Max Caster done a rap on Hangman Page, but soon got cut off by Anthony Bowens because Max Caster was getting ready to drop some things that weren't suitable for TV. Well, Anthony Bowens told Max Caster, he said, "Hey, you can't say that live on TNT." Well, Anthony Bowens done his signature quote saying AEW, the Acclaimed have arrived, but Hangman Page attacked Anthony Bowens with a big boot, which that was cool. Match 2, it was the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, versus Bear Country, which are Bear Bronson and Bear Boulder. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Jurassic Express went over cause Luchasaurus pinned Bear Bronson with the chokeslam standing moonsault combination. Match 3, it was Darby Allin versus J.D. Drake for the AEW TNT title. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Darby Allin went over and retained the AEW TNT title with the coffin drop. Well, after the match, as Darby Allin was celebrating, the Hardy family office, which are Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, The Butcher, The Blade, and The Bunny came out. Well, The Butcher attacked Darby Allin with The Blade following The Butcher, and The Bunny went over to the commentary desk yelling and screaming at the commentators to get out of the way. Well, the commentators wouldn't do it, so The Bunny started throwing a fit. Well, Sting, Ty Conti, and the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, 5-10, Colt Cabana, and -1, came out to even the odds. Well, the Hardy family office, which are Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, The Butcher, and The Blade, all retreated, and the Bunny was still at the commentary desk. Sting, the Dark Order, and Ty Conti. Well, the Dark Order and Ty Conti had the Bunny surrounded. Well, Ty Conti attacked the Bunny and beat the shit out of her, and the referees had to break it up, which that was cool. Match 4, it was Ty Conti versus the Bunny. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Ty Conti went over with the DDT. And match 5, which was the main event, it was Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, which are Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, versus Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers went over because Kenny Omega pinned Jon Moxley with the Magic Killer from Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. After the match, Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers, and Don Callis were in the ring along with the Young Bucks, and the Good Brothers held Jon Moxley down, and the Young Bucks attacked Jon Moxley with a double super kick, and then Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers, and Don Callis all celebrated, which that was cool. Well, during the match, the Young Bucks turned their back on Jon Moxley, attacking him with double super kicks. Well, Eddie Kingston came out to try to even the odds, but the Good Brothers attacked Eddie Kingston with the Magic Killer, which that was cool, during the match. But besides the matches, the Inner Circle, which are Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz, all arrived in badass rides before the show, which that was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed the Death Triangle, which are Pac, Rey Fenix, and Penta El Zero Miedo, and before Tony Schiavone could ask the Death Triangle anything, the Best Friends, which are Trent and Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy, and Chris Statlander, came out, and footage of the feud between the Death Triangle, the Best Friends, and Orange Cassidy appeared on the Titantron. Well, Orange Cassidy got on the microphone and told the Death Triangle it was good to see them all three in the ring again. Chuck Taylor got on the microphone and said that they still remembered what the Death Triangle done to him and everything. And then Trent got on the microphone. Well, Trent got on the microphone, but Pac Rey Fenix and Penta El Zero Miedo were making comments and everything after Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor got their words in, calling them crazy and everything. But Pac cut them off, and Pac was telling the Best Friends that he knows that they're after a tag team title shot, but told them to jog on because it's the Death Triangle's time. Well, Trent got on the microphone and was talking about why they're so low on the rankings because where Trent's been hurt and everything, and said he had no problem with working his way back up, and talked about his alliance with Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy, and Chris Statlander. And so Trent, Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy, and Chris Statlander done their done the hand thing, and then left while the Death Triangle and Tony Schiavone were still in the ring, looking on. Which, that was cool. The Inner Circle, which are Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz, came out and cut a promo, come out to the ring. Chris Jericho got on the microphone and was talking about the Pinnacle, which are MJF, Wardlow, Shawn Spears, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Tully Blanchard, pretty much insulting them, saying that Tully Blanchard was ranked between Ole Anderson and Paul Roma. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler were a great tag team, but he couldn't tell them apart because they were AEW's version of the Jonas Brothers, and said that Shawn Spears wasn't nothing because 10 years ago he got a call from Shawn Spears wanting a job because he got fired from the Fed, and said that Wardlow had a smart body, but had a smart brain, but a dumb body because he had to strip naked to count to 21. And MJF, and then Chris Jericho focused his attention on MJF, pretty much saying about their demise plan to have MJF in the Inner Circle, to keep him under his thumb and have him so brainwashed and everything that he was going to kick their ass, that they were going to kick his ass, but MJF outsmarted him. And Chris Jericho is pretty much going on and insulting MJF and the rest of the Pinnacle and everything. And Chris Jericho announced that on May 5th it's going to be the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle on May 5th on AEW Dynamite in a blood and guts match. And, but before Chris Jericho got to talk all that, Sammy Guevara had flashcards, pretty much saying what he was going to say. That was cool. And pretty much that whole segment was cool. Um, um, Dasha Gonzalez interviewed Christian Cage. Yeah, Dasha Gonzalez interviewed Christian Cage, and Dasha Gonzalez was asking Christian Cage how it felt to be back in the ring after 7 years and what was next for him. Well, Christian Cage was telling Dasha Gonzalez that it felt great to be back in the ring after 7 years, and said he couldn't have had it better. He couldn't have done it better without having a match with Frankie Kazarian, and was pretty much putting Frankie Kazarian over. Well, before Christian Cage got to talk about what was next for him, Taz came along and interrupted the interview, and Taz proposed an offer to Christian Cage to join Team Taz. And Taz ended up leaving, and Dasha Gonzalez explained to Christian Cage that he had an opportunity to join Team Taz and everything, which that was cool. Let me see. QT Marshall, along with Nick Comoroto, Aaron Solo, and Anthony Ogogo, were in the Nightmare Factory training facility, and QT Marshall was cutting a promo on Cody Rhodes, saying how he was a fake and everything, and he pretty much put over Aaron Solo, saying he's not just somebody's boyfriend. He put over Nick Comoroto, saying he's not just a musclehead, and then he put over Anthony Ogogo about him being a boxer and all that good shit. And Anthony Ogogo, QT Marshall said that the Nightmare Factory was his fucking factory. Well, Anthony Ogogo was going on, gloating on about himself, about him being a boxer and how he was going to demolish everyone on the AEW roster and everything. And then Nick Comoroto took a bucket of paint and splashed it over on the Nightmare Factory wall. And so QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, Nick Comoroto, and Anthony Ogogo stood tall in that promo. That was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Sting, and Tony Schiavone was, but before Tony Schiavone got a word in with Sting, Jake the Snake Roberts came out with a microphone and was talking shit towards Sting, saying how Darby Allin was his gerbil friend and everything, and then Lance Archer came out, took the microphone away from Jake the Snake Roberts, telling Jake the Snake Roberts that was enough, because if anything made him sane, then him having to having to be put to the side was making him crazy. And Lance Archer was going on bitching about how he's in the main event, goes away, in the main event, goes away, in the main event, goes away, but he's not having it anymore. And he was pretty much explaining to Sting that was his time now and everything. Well, Sting snatched the microphone out of Lance Archer's hand, and Sting was saying that he was inclined to agree with him that it was his time, that he was a main event star, and that he has the potential to be a main event star. And he was telling Jake the Snake Roberts Sting was telling Jake the Snake Roberts to help Lance Archer get to main event status and everything. Well, Sting ended up leaving, and Tony Schiavone asked Lance Archer if he had anything to say about it. Well, Lance Archer and Jake the Snake Roberts left, which that was cool. Let me see. Team Taz, Team Taz, which are Taz, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Hook, cut a promo, and before Taz could say anything, Ricky Starks was saying that he'd like to hear from Brian Cage, since they got the win on AEW Dark the night before. Well, Brian Cage was getting ready to talk, but Taz got in between them, and he apologized to Brian Cage, but Taz also told Ricky Starks that told him to stop instigating things. And Taz was going over the plan with Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Hook. Well, Powerhouse Hobbs was getting ready to say something, but Taz cut him off. But Taz was explaining to his Team Taz comrades that he has a plan to recruit Christian Cage. And he was telling the rest of them, his Team Taz comrades, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Hook, that they got to play it smart. And Ricky Starks was saying he absolutely understood, which, that was cool. Let me see. Let me see. Alex Marvez interviewed Chris Jericho, and Alex Marvez was getting ready to ask Chris Jericho about the blood and guts match against between the Pinnacle versus between the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle on May 5th on the blood and guts match. Well, before Chris Jericho could actually talk, MJF, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, Shawn Spears, Tully Blanchard, and Wardlow all joined in. Well, MJF attacked Chris Jericho from behind, and all the Pinnacle were beating the shit out of Chris Jericho, and it went out to the ring, and they all beat the shit out of him. Well, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler done the Mindbreaker to Chris Jericho, and Wardlow was getting ready to... Well, Tully Blanchard got a slap in before the Mindbreaker. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler went out and set up a table outside the ring. Well, Wardlow was getting ready to execute a power bomb to Chris Jericho through a table, but Alex Marvez went, they cut backstage to Alex Marvez signaling that the Inner Circle was in the locker room, while Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz broke through the locker room door because where the Pinnacle locked them in their locker room, but they broke through the door with the baseball bat. And before Wardlow got the power bomb in, Mike Tyson came out, and MJF, Wardlow, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Tully Blanchard retreated, and Mike Tyson attacked Shawn Spears with punches to the stomach and the face, and then tackled him down, started punching him some more. Well, Shawn Spears ended up getting out of the ring, and the rest of the Inner Circle, which are Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz, all came out and stood tall with Mike Tyson. Well, Chris Jericho got up, and Chris Jericho and Mike Tyson buried the hatchet, and Mike Tyson stood tall with the Inner Circle, which that was cool. Let me see. Tony Schiavone interviewed Britt Baker and Rebel, and Tony Schiavone was pretty much asking Britt Baker about her, about what was next for her and everything. Well, and about the win-loss rankings. Well, Britt Baker was going on about how the win-loss record in AEW, the win-loss rankings in AEW were a joke, and she was saying that that she was coming after Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's title and everything, which that was cool. Let me see. And a few other things I'm going to cover that happened that I forgot to cover. Mike Tyson was seen before the show talking to Jacksonville Jaguars coach Urban Meyer, which I don't know what they were talking about because it didn't have an audio, but that was cool nonetheless. AEW aired a video package of the build-up of the match between Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks, which that was cool. And Red Velvet cut a promo on Jade Cargill talking about how she was going to kick her ass and how she was going to beat her ass and everything, which that was cool. And but besides all that, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. And the referees for the event were Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Rick Knox refereed the match between Hangman Page versus Max Caster. Paul Turner refereed the match between... The referees for the event were Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Rick Knox refereed the match between Hangman Page versus Max Caster. Paul Turner refereed the match between the Jurassic Express versus Bear Country. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Darby Allin versus J.D. Drake for the AEW TNT title. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Ty Conti versus The Bunny, and Rick Knox refereed the match between Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks. All the referees done awesome as usual. And I did forget to add on the commentary. Don Callis done guest commentary along with Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur during the match between Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks. Don Callis done great on guest commentary. Now, the match card for next week's the match card for Wednesday night's AEW Dynamite, it's going to be the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson, versus Pac and Ray Phoenix for the AEW Tag Team titles. Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy in a Falls Count Anywhere match for the AEW TNT title. Chris Jericho versus Dax Harwood with Mike Tyson as a special guest enforcer. Let me see. Let me see. Um, Hold on. Just a second. Sorry, just a second. Hold on. The match card for next week's AEW Dynamite. The match card for Wednesday night's AEW Dynamite. It's going to be the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson versus Pac and Ray Phoenix for the AEW Tag Team titles. Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy in a Falls Count Anywhere match for the AEW TNT title. Chris Jericho versus Dax Harwood with Mike Tyson as the special guest enforcer. Anthony Ogogo versus a local competitor. And Red Velvet versus Jade Cargill. So Wednesday night on AEW Dynamite, like the match card and everything that's been announced so far, looks like it's going to be awesome. The show and everything looks like it's going to be awesome. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give my review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from 2 nights ago, which was April 7th, 2021. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road.